It's time for another Dirt Daily. Today, we are in the shop with the Give-A-Way Gladiator. This is the Jeep Gladiator that one of you is going to win. And today's project is lights. We're going to put some lights on it. Why? Because this time next year, one of you will have won this because Cal 4 Wheel is raffling it off, and you're going to go to Cal 4 Wheel's website and buy some tickets, and maybe you're going to want to go four-wheeling after dark. So we're going to put some extra lights on it. It currently has headlights and fog lights, but we have some other stuff that we're going to put on it so that you can go four-wheeling after dark and enjoy your brand new Jeep Gladiator. What is Cal 4 Wheel? Cal 4 Wheel is an organization that fights to keep trails open in the state of California, and it's a good organization to support. I'm supporting them by putting all these parts on, and you can support them by buying a raffle ticket and putting your name in the pot so that hopefully one of you can win this. Let's get to work. Before I install any lights, I'm going to install this. This is an SPod, which is basically a junction block with a wire that runs inside your dash and controls all of your switches. Instead of the good old days when you would run all of your lighting wires inside your dash and have like multiple switches across the dash and lots of wires everywhere, this is much cleaner. You basically run all of your wires to this, which mounts right here, and then you have just one wire that goes inside to a switch panel, and you can push and select whatever lights or other circuits you want, whether you have electric lockers or air compressor or anything like that. So we're going to start right out. I've already done an install on this before on my Noob Sock Jeep, and this one's very similar. This is just an 8 circuit instead of the 6 circuit, which I have on that. And it's going to go right here, and then we will route the positive and ground wires across the firewall and over to the battery. Put the SPod in, bolted it down, ran the positive and ground wire over to the battery on the passenger side of the Jeep. The cool thing about these JLs and Gladiators is there's like a plastic trough thing that goes right along the firewall, and there's like a, I don't know, half dozen clips that close it, but if you open it, you can stuff all your wires in there and then close it up, and it's a nice clean installation. You also have to run the control wire into the cab of the Jeep, and to do that you run it up here, you put it underneath this piece of foam, and then you fold the windshield forward, which is super easy, like to the point where I have my little Noob Sock JL and I should be driving it with the windshield down way more than I do. It's literally 4 bolts. You take 4 bolts out and you remove the windshield wipers and the thing will fold down. It's just about the easiest Jeep to fold a windshield down, except for maybe like an early flat fender. So you fold this forward and then you run the wire up behind the windshield. You kind of run it in between the seal and then mount the control switch right inside. Inside, I mounted the control panel for the SPod right onto the grab handle. There's a really trick, like little 3D printed piece from this company, CMM Off-Road, and it basically removes the panel and the bolt that holds the bottom of your grab handle on with this 3D printed piece. Has a new bolt that runs through it, and then it has one of those balls that you put into a ram mount. So if you undo the ram mount, you can see this kind of 3D printed ball mount thing right there on the bottom. And then this allows you to attach the switch panel right here. Easy to reach. You can still use the grab handle. You can adjust it if it's too close to the steering wheel for you. In my Jeep, I have it mounted up above the dash, but this Jeep has like the daytime or the nighttime sensing auto headlights. Mine is the base model, so it doesn't have that. But this is a really cool, clean install. CMM off-road, if you're looking for that. You can use it for your SPod mount. You can use it for your GoPro, whatever type of thing you like for your RAM mount. You can put your phone there, whatever other gadgets. When I routed the wire up behind the windshield, I removed this corner panel of the cowl. It's kind of like a fiberglass plastic type piece that slides right in there. Really easy. 2 bolts down through the top, 2 into the sides. Now, part of the reason why I remove this is because I'm going to replace it with this. This is from a company called D&C Designs, and it has a built-in light that is wired in, and it bolts in right here to replace that piece in the cowl. And it comes painted to match. When this thing showed up, I was like, gadget. And I'm kind of averse to gadgets. Like, I've used them a bunch over the years in different projects. I'm like, how is this really gonna help me? But then, like, and I was worried it wasn't gonna match. I set it up here and I was like, wow, the paint color is almost spot on. And I mean, the rest of the Jeep's pretty dusty and these are pretty clean, so that might stand out a little bit. But the other thing that's kind of cool is that you can wire this in to both the SPod, so you'll have a button that will activate the light. And say you're driving down the trail and you like come to a road and you're like, oh, what's over there? You can hit a button and this will turn on as a side light. Or if you're looking for a mailbox or whatever, maybe you're a pizza delivery guy and you're like, well, what's the number on that house? And there's one for both sides. Plus, you wired into your turn signal, which the wires for your turn signal happen to be like right here under this, behind this vent under the fender. And there's a turn signal that will flash in this as well. So there's 3 wires I need to hook up. There's the light, there's the turn signal, and then there is the ground. So I'm going to wire the light and the ground into the SPod, and the turn signal I'll tap into that wire going to the light on the fender. And then with 4 bolts, you will have this all back together, which is kind of cool. Little gadgety, but I don't, like when it first showed up, I wasn't as into it, and now when I see it, I'm like, man, it kind of blends in pretty well. The black frame goes with the black fenders and the Willys logo and the black mirror, so I don't mind it as much as I thought I was going to when I first opened the box and was like, what is this thing? I mounted up the cowl lights. I wired that one to a long wire that comes across and runs into the SPod. I did the same with a short wire from this one into the SPod. I put each of these ditch lights, they're actually called ditch lights. I don't know if that's the technical term, but it seems to make the most sense because if you're driving along and you want to see what's in the ditch beside you, you'll turn on your ditch light. I wired them on 2 separate circuits. You could put them both in the same circuit. I put them on separate circuits so that you can turn on the right or left ditch light and it'll illuminate off onto the side. And those will be controlled by the SPod. Now, the turn signal part of these, I had to splice into the turn signal wire that comes out and goes to the lights on the front tube fenders. So, that being said, I think we can test everything. I think the ditch lights will work. I think the turn signals will come on with these turn signals. And well, let's just try it out. The turn signal should come on if I just hit the hazard button. So let's just try that. Ha! Ha! Success. Success. Blinking all the way around. So that's a good sign. Now, if I power up, what do I have to do to power up the... Okay, now to activate the SPod, I have to start the vehicle. The vehicle is now running. And it looks like if I hit switch number 5 on this, ha! Check it out, the light is on. Number 6. Yes, that's pretty cool. I like these things. D&C Designs. Clean, simple. What is left? I have 2 more lights to install. This is a pair of Squadron driving lights from Baja Designs. They're nice, they're small, and there's a lot of different ways you can mount these. You can put them up on your A-pillar, which some people like them up there. I usually prefer to have the auxiliary lights down on the bumper somewhere. Then you're not getting any glare across of the hood. But everybody has their own feelings about where you should put lights. So my initial plan was to put them down here in replacement of the fog lights. And then I was like, that's kind of dumb because having fog lights is kind of nice. And these are just the factory fog lights. They plug right in. They come on when you push the fog light button on the dash. And then I thought, well, I could try and hot wire these in, but I was like, I don't really want to cut into the factory harness a whole lot if I don't have to. And I just put in the SPod, so I can just wire these to the SPod and they will fire right up. So this is my new plan. I am going to drill 2 holes in the bumper, and I'm going to mount these right on either side of the winch. Then they'll be wired into the SPod. If you want to turn them on, you just push a button on the SPod and they'll light up, and they will be separate and on their own circuit from the rest of the Jeep, so that you can power them whenever you want, on or off. You can have all the headlights off and everything else off, but still turn these on. So I'm going to plot out exactly where to drill some holes, and we will hook these guys up. Huh. That's interesting. It's a little ironic when you're putting lights on your Jeep and the lights in the shop go out. Lights are mounted to the bumper. A little ironic that I'm putting lights on the Jeep and all the lights in the shop go out, but that does give me a chance to show you guys this thing. I don't know if I've ever shown it to you before. This is the Devos light. Comes on this retractable pole. I use it a lot, even in the shop when I have all the lights on, because I can, if I have the Jeep up on the lift, I can put it up underneath the lift. I guess we'll just put these lights on even in the dark. Luckily, the sun's still up, so we got a little bit of light coming into the shop. I'm gonna button up this. What I want to do next is, this is the factory wiring harness, and it has 2 leads that run to the lights, and then they come back to a relay, and that relay then goes off to the battery or to the switch. I'm not going to use any of that relay stuff. I'm just going to use these 2 wires that run to the lights. So I can cut this right here, plug them in, and then route them up to the SPod. Well, even though the lights went out in the shop, I'm pretty happy with how all the wiring and the lighting came together. I wired those Baja Design lights up through behind the grill and up to the SPod. I labeled the lid of the SPod. We mounted the SPod controller on that grab handle. Put on those ditch lights and the turn signal lights from, I think it's D&C Customs? D&C Customs? Yes, from D&C Design. We put on those ditch lights and turn signal lights on the side of the cowl from D&C Design. Baja Design. Well, even though the lights are out in the shop, it all came together in the end. Baja Design lights down on the front bumper, the D&C Design lights on the cowl. We got the SPod mounted up. I put some stickers on the top of the SPod to show which circuits run which lights. Let's turn this thing on and see how the lighting works. All right, so that is just the marker lights on the tube fenders. Those are just the fog lights. Those are the ditch lights. Those are the Baja Design lights. The headlights themselves are like the most tame lights of all of them. But this thing is ready to go four-wheeling after dark. That's it for this Dirt Daily. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys next time. Don't forget to go to the Cowl 4-Wheel website and buy your raffle tickets so that one of you can be wheeling this thing night run next summer. See you guys next time. Get out of here.